Heartland Season 19 kicked off in a way nobody saw coming, just when everyone thought the ranch would finally get a little peace. After the calm ending of Season 18, Episode 1 dropped us right into chaos. The episode, titled Risk Everything, didn't waste a second throwing the Fleming Bartlett family into danger. A wildfire, a shocking inheritance battle, and a relationship that could either make or break Amy's future. All of it came crashing down in just one episode. And trust me, if you thought Heartland was only about horses and love stories, this premiere proved it's about survival, heartbreak, and the lengths people will go to protect the ones they love. The first thing we have to talk about is the fire. This isn't just some background disaster added for drama. This wildfire completely set the tone for the new season. Right from the start, we see how fragile Heartland Ranch really is when nature turns against it. The family is forced to evacuate, and for the first time in years, we watch them run. Not to save the ranch's future, but to save their own lives. That alone makes the premiere stand out because Heartland has always shown resilience. But this time the fire pushed them to a breaking point, and in the middle of all this danger, Amy once again proves why she's the heart of this show. When she realizes that a pregnant mare is trapped in the path of the fire, she doesn't hesitate. She risks her life, her safety, and everything she has just to save that animal. This is classic Amy, brave, selfless, and willing to put others above herself no matter what it costs. But here's where it gets even more intense. It's not just about Amy being the hero. This decision connects directly to her relationship with Nathan. Because Nathan refuses to let her face the danger alone. The fire becomes more than just flames on the ranch, it becomes the test of their new relationship. Remember, Amy and Nathan just started something real between them after years of hesitation. Amy finally allowed herself to move past his memory. And Nathan finally stepped forward to be more than just a friend. But this isn't a fairy tale love story where everything falls into place. Instead, this very first episode makes it clear that their love will be tested by fear, grief, and the weight of the past. Nathan still feels like he can never compete with Ty, and Amy is torn between honoring her late husband's memory and letting herself fully commit to Nathan. The fire throws both of them into a life or death situation, forcing them to face the truth if they want to be together. They can't live in the shadow of what's gone, and then there's Gracie. Her presence in this episode can't be ignored. While the family is fighting against nature, Gracie is quietly moving her own pieces into place. We already knew from the trailer that she's going after the ranch through their father's inheritance. And now it's starting to show. Nathan is caught in the middle, torn between his loyalty to Amy and the poisonous influence of his sister. The fire may have united the ranch for a moment, but Gracie's schemes are going to divide it all over again. Imagine losing everything to flames, only to come back and realize the real enemy isn't nature but family. That's exactly the storm Season 19 is setting up, and let's not forget Jack. If there's one person who would rather burn with the ranch than leave it behind, it's him. But age and health are not on his side anymore. Watching Jack struggle through the evacuation is heartbreaking, because we all know the ranch is his soul. This fire doesn't just threaten the land, it threatens Jack's very will to keep going. Episode 1 leaves us questioning, how much more can Jack handle before his body finally gives out? So, between Amy's bravery, Nathan's insecurities, Gracie's plotting, and Jack's vulnerability, the fire isn't just a disaster, it's a symbol. It burns away the illusion of peace and exposes the cracks in every relationship, every bond, and every character we thought was unshakable. If this is only episode 1, then trust me, Season 19 is going to take us on one of the most emotional rides Heartland has ever given us. Now, let's dig deeper into Amy and Nathan because their story is the centerpiece of this episode. After everything Amy has gone through, you'd expect her to hold back, maybe guard her heart a little longer. But that's not what we see. Instead, the fire actually pushes her closer to Nathan, and it's almost symbolic. It's like she had to walk through flames to accept that love after Ty doesn't mean forgetting him. It means living the way he would have wanted her to, with courage and hope. This moment changes Amy. You can tell by the way she looks at Nathan after the chaos settles. There's no more hesitation in her eyes. She's ready to move forward, and that's something we haven't truly seen from her since Dee's death. But here's the twist, Nathan isn't as sure of himself as Amy is. And honestly, that's what makes his character so relatable. He's not the perfect replacement. He doesn't want to be tied to point zero, he's just Nathan. And he's struggling with the idea that he'll never measure up in Amy's heart. That insecurity comes through in subtle ways, like the way he hesitates before speaking or the way he tries too hard to prove he's dependable. It's heartbreaking because we can see that he loves Amy deeply, but his love is weighed down by doubt. And that doubt could either make their bond stronger or slowly break it apart. Then there's the matter of Nathan's family. His father's passing leaves behind a storm of problems that Amy never asked for, but now has to face with him. And right at the center of that storm is Gracie. We know she's ambitious and we know she's ruthless, but in this episode, we see just how dangerous she's willing to become. While the family is still recovering from the fire, Gracie is already making calls, already pushing papers, already talking about inheritance shares. She's playing a game, and she's not afraid to use Nathan's grief against him. That's the kind of sister Gracie is. She doesn't want partnership. She wants control, and Nathan is caught between two impossible choices. On one side, he has Amy, who just risked her life to save a mayor, proving that love and loyalty mean more to her than anything else. On the other, he has his blood sister, who is manipulating every situation to make him feel like he owes her. You can see the conflict written all over his face. He doesn't want to lose Amy, but at the same time, he doesn't know how to cut ties with the only family he has left. That's going to be one of the biggest battles of this season. Nathan learning where his loyalty truly belongs. And speaking of loyalty, Lou and Jack deserve some attention here. Lou, as always, tries to stay calm, but this fire shook her in ways we haven't seen before. She knows the ranch is fragile and she knows her family is stretched thin. This makes her even more determined to fight Gracie. Jack, on the other hand, doesn't hide his emotions at all. You can tell how much the fire drained him, not just physically but emotionally. For Jack, this ranch isn't just land. It's history, it's love, it's the last piece of his soul that connects him to the people he's lost. Watching him walk through the burnt sections of the ranch after the fire dies down is devastating, because you realize just how much it costs him every single time Heartland is threatened. And here's the part that nobody's talking about enough: Katie. She's stepping up in ways that truly surprised me. Instead of running or being scared, she shows maturity and strength. Her decision to stay at the ranch this season might end up being one of the most important choices for the family. She's young, but she's starting to carry the same weight Amy once carried when she was her age. And trust me, Katie's presence this season is going to shift the dynamic. For years, we've watched Amy grow into her role. Now, it's Katie's turn to step into the fire, both literally and figuratively. So, what does all of this mean for the future? It means season 19 isn't just about love or drama. It's about survival. It's about who's willing to fight for the ranch and who's willing to let it burn, either by fire or betrayal. And while the fire in episode 1 might have been put out, the sparks it created between these characters are just getting started. We're looking at rivalries, heartbreaks, and tough choices that will define not only the season, but maybe even the legacy of Heartland itself. Now, let's take a closer look at how the fire didn't just threaten the ranch but also lit the fuse on every single conflict waiting to explode in Heartland. Because if there's one thing this episode made clear, it's that nothing is safe anymore. Not the land, not the family bonds, and not even the love stories we've been waiting to see grow. Everything is under fire, literally and emotionally. And that's why this episode was so powerful. It didn't just give us action. It gave us consequences. The wildfire forced everyone to face something they've been running from. For Amy, it was the weight of her grief and the shadow of Ty. You could see it in her hesitation before risking everything for that mare. For a split second, it was like she thought, if I do this, am I repeating the same story Ty lived and died for? But Amy being Amy, she didn't back down. And that's the turning point for her character. She's no longer just living for Dee's memory. She's living for herself, her daughter, and maybe, finally, for Nathan. That shift might feel small now, but trust me, it's going to carry through the entire season. Amy's bravery in this episode wasn't just about saving an animal. It was about saving herself from being stuck in the past forever. But here's the thing, Nathan isn't ready for the same leap Amy is taking. This is where things get complicated. We've all seen couples in Heartland struggle before. But this one feels different because Nathan isn't holding back out of pride or stubbornness. He's holding back out of fear. Fear that he'll never be enough. Fear that Amy, deep down, will always compare him to Ty, and honestly, that fear is valid. We can't pretend Ty didn't set a high standard. He was a partner, a father, and a hero in his own right. So for Nathan, trying to step into Amy's life feels like stepping into a role where failure seems inevitable. That's why his journey this season is going to be just as emotional as Amy's. While she learns to move forward, he has to learn to believe he belongs by her side. And episode 1 plants the seeds of that struggle perfectly. Meanwhile, we can't ignore Gracie, because she's already proving herself to be the real villain of season 19. While nature attacked the ranch from the outside, Gracie is attacking it from the inside. And the worst part? She's doing it in ways that feel personal. Her timing alone shows how ruthless she is. Who pushes inheritance issues and financial plans right after a wildfire? Nearly destroys the family home? Only someone who doesn't care about love or loyalty, someone who only sees opportunity in disaster. That's Gracie. And the way she manipulates Nathan makes her even more dangerous. She knows exactly how to play on his grief, on his guilt, and even on his fear of not being enough for Amy. That makes her not just an obstacle, but a threat. Because unlike the fire, which came and went, Gracie isn't going anywhere. And this puts Nathan in the hardest position of all. Imagine being torn between two women who define your future in completely different ways. On one hand, Amy, the woman who sees your heart, who believes in your goodness, who's willing to risk her life alongside you. On the other hand, Gracie, your blood, your family, the person who reminds you of your past and makes you feel like you owe her everything. Nathan is stuck in a no-win situation. And the scary part? If he hesitates too long, he could lose Amy without even realizing it. Heartland has always been about choices, and this season, Nathan's choice between love and loyalty might be the one that decides the fate of the ranch. Now, let's talk about Jack. Because this episode quietly showed us something we've all been dreading: Jack's limits. For years, we've watched him carry the weight of Heartland on his shoulders. He's been the anchor, the voice of wisdom, the protector. But episode 1 reminded us that even anchors can crack. Watching him push himself during the evacuation was painful, not just because of his age, but because you could see the fear in his eyes. Jack isn't afraid of fire. He isn't afraid of loss. What he's afraid of is leaving his family without the strength they need to carry on. That's why every cough, every stumble, every moment he looked weak in this episode hit so hard. It's a warning sign. Jack can't keep holding everything together forever. And when he finally breaks, the ranch might break with him. And then we have Lou, who's trying to balance everything like she always does. But here's the catch: Lou's strength doesn't come from physical resilience like Jack, or emotional bravery like Amy. Her strength comes from her ability to plan, to manage, to keep things moving. But what happens when the problems aren't things you can plan your way out of? What happens when nature and betrayal hit at the same time? That's the challenge Lou faces this season, and episode 1 gave us a taste of it. She can fight Gracie on paper, but can she fight the emotional toll that comes with it? That's the question we'll see answered in the episodes ahead. And let's not forget Katie. Honestly, her growth in this episode shouldn't be overlooked. While the adults were scrambling, Katie stood her ground in a way that felt like a passing of the torch. She's not just the child in the background anymore. She's becoming part of the backbone of this family. And if episode 1 is any indication, Katie's role in protecting the ranch and standing up for her family is going to surprise a lot of people this season. To sum it up, episode 1 wasn't just an introduction to a new season. It was a statement. A statement that this season will burn away every comfort, every illusion of safety, and force the characters to face who they really are. Amy has to face love without fear. Nathan has to face his insecurities. Gracie has to face her obsession with power. Jack has to face his limits. Lou has to face battles she can't fully control. And Katie has to face the reality of growing up in a family where survival is never guaranteed. That's what makes this episode so much more than just a premiere. It's the spark that's going to ignite everything that comes next. One of the most shocking parts of Heartland Season 19. Episode 1 isn't just the wildfire or even the inheritance fight. It's the way this episode sets up returns and reunions that fans have been waiting on for years. The flames might have burned the ranch, but what rose from the ashes was something even more emotional: the sense that Heartland's past isn't done with us yet. The biggest proof of this? Georgie's name finally being spoken again in a way that means her story isn't over now. Let's be real. Fans have been begging for Georgie to return. The last time we saw her, she was off in Belgium with Quinn, chasing dreams of marriage, independence, and a future outside of Heartland Ranch. It made sense at the time. Georgie had always been ambitious, always wanted more, and Quinn seemed like the perfect partner for her. But when she left, it left a hole in the family. Amy grew without her. Jack carried on, but you could feel the silence. Lou missed her daughter in a way only a mother can. And the fans? They felt it too. So, the moment we got even the smallest confirmation that Georgie would be making her way back into the story, it changed everything. Episode 1 plants those seeds carefully. In the aftermath of the fire, while the family is reeling and Lou is trying to hold everyone together, we see hints of Georgie's return. Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a mention, but it's enough to remind us that her story is still tied to the ranch. And here's where things get really interesting. The fire wasn't just a disaster. It was a call for the family to come home, for missing pieces to find their way back. And who better to answer that call than Georgie? But this isn't just about a reunion. This is about timing. The trailer and the speculation leading up to season 19 already hinted that Georgie and Quinn might finally be taking the next big step in their relationship, marriage. Now, Think about what that means in the context of everything else happening at the ranch. Amy is stepping into a new love story with Nathan. Lou is rebuilding her bond with Katie. Jack is confronting his limits. And in the middle of all that, Georgie returns, not as the girl who left, but as a woman ready to stand beside her family again. Can you imagine the emotional weight of that moment? The ranch nearly burns down, but the family grows stronger. That's the kind of symbolism Heartland has always thrived on. And speaking of family, let's not forget Quinn. If Georgie comes back, he comes with her. Their relationship has always been one of those rare love stories in Heartland that felt both fragile and strong at the same time. They had their doubts, their disagreements, their almost marriage that never happened. But now, after years away, they could return not just as a couple, but as a married couple. And that changes everything. It would mean Lou isn't just getting her daughter back, she's gaining a son-in-law. It would mean Amy doesn't just have her cousin back. She has another reminder that love can survive distance, hardship, and even separation. And it would mean Jack, who has seen so much loss, finally sees another generation stepping up with commitment and loyalty. But let's not get too dreamy here. Because if Heartland has taught us anything, it's that no return is simple. And no reunion comes without conflict. Georgie's comeback, as beautiful as it will be, could also spark tension. Think about it, she left to find her own path. And now she's coming back to a ranch that's under attack, to a family that's fractured, and to a cousin who's moving on with someone new. Will Georgie truly fit back in? Or will she find herself caught between supporting Amy and questioning Nathan's place in her cousin's life? That's where the drama lies. And then there's the bigger question, how will Gracie respond to Georgie's return? We already know Gracie sees Amy as competition. She resents Amy's influence over Nathan and the ranch. But what happens when Georgie steps in? Georgie isn't just another family member, she's strong, independent, and stubborn, just like Amy. That means Gracie isn't fighting one battle anymore. She's fighting two. And that could shift the balance completely. Imagine Gracie trying to divide Nathan from Amy, only to realize Georgie is back, ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with her family. That's the kind of clash that could define the season. And let's talk about Lou for a moment. Because Georgie's return hits her the hardest. Lou has always been the protector, the one who worries, the one who tries to keep her children close even when they're grown. So when Georgie left, it wasn't just distance, it was heartbreak. Lou tried to understand, but deep down, she always hoped her daughter would come back. And in this episode, when that hope finally feels real again, we see a side of Lou that's softer, more vulnerable. After all, she's not just dealing with Gracie's threats, Jack's health, and the ranch's survival. She's also dealing with the possibility of finally being whole again as a mother. Katie, too, plays a role here. Her bond with Lou has been strengthening, and now Georgie's return could either deepen that bond or challenge it. For years, Katie has lived in Georgie's shadow. She was the younger one, the one left behind, the one who had to grow into her own identity while Georgie lived a bigger life somewhere else. So when Georgie comes back, Katie's reaction matters. Will she welcome her sister with open arms, or will she struggle with feeling overshadowed again? This dynamic might be one of the most overlooked but most important storylines in season 19. And then there's Jack. Watching his granddaughter return would be one of the most emotional payoffs Heartland could give us. Jack has always been the glue, but he's also the one who feels absence the most deeply. Losing Ty broke him. Watching Amy grieve broke him again. And now, as his health begins to falter, seeing Georgie come back could be the one thing that restores his spirit. It's not just about adding another character back into the mix. It's about giving Jack hope that the family he's dedicated his life to will continue, even after he's gone. So when we look at the bigger picture, Georgie's return isn't just fan service. It's the missing puzzle piece. It's the moment that ties past seasons to the present and gives the future a direction. Episode 1 makes it clear the fire took something from the ranch, but Georgie's return is going to give something back. And the balance between those two forces, loss and return, is what makes this season feel so promising, so emotional, and so unforgettable. When the flames of episode 1 finally die down and the smoke clears, what's left behind isn't just ash and broken fences. What's left behind is a ranch standing on fragile ground, a family staring down more challenges than ever, and a season that promises to test every single relationship we care about. And the biggest takeaway? Nothing in Heartland is guaranteed anymore. Not love, not safety, not even the ranch itself. Episode 1 didn't just start season 19, it tore off the safety net and told us that from now on, every character we love is going to be pushed to their limit. Amy, as always, is the heart of this story, and in this premiere, she reminded us why the show still revolves around her journey. Saving that mare wasn't just a dramatic moment. It was a metaphor for her life. Amy isn't afraid to walk through fire, not literal flames, not heartbreak, not grief. She came out of that blaze with more than just burns. She came out with clarity. Clarity that her love for Nathan is real. That she can finally let go of the guilt tied to Dee's memory. And that she's ready to build a future that isn't defined by the past. But that doesn't mean her road will be easy. This episode sets her up for happiness, yes. But it also sets her up for battles with Nathan's insecurities, with Gracie's manipulations, and maybe even with her own fear of what it means to love again so deeply. Nathan's arc in this episode is equally important. While Amy is stepping into courage, Nathan is stepping into doubt. The fire showed us that he will risk everything to stand by her side. But the question is, will he believe that he deserves her love when the flames are gone? His scenes made it clear that he respects Dee's legacy, maybe too much. That respect has turned into a shadow that follows him everywhere. And until Nathan learns to step out of that shadow, to stop comparing himself to a man who can't be replaced, he'll always struggle to truly claim his place in Amy's life. That's the emotional tension the writers have set up, and it's brilliant because it's real. Who hasn't felt that they weren't enough? Nathan's struggle is our struggle, and that's why his story is going to hit so hard this season. But of course, looming over everything is Gracie. If the wildfire was the external danger, Gracie is the internal one. She's not swinging an axe or lighting a match, but she's threatening the ranch in ways far more dangerous. Fire can be put out. Greed, manipulation, betrayal, those burn longer. Her moves in episode 1 might have seemed subtle, a word here, a plan there, but make no mistake. She's building something destructive. And Nathan is her target. She knows that his grief and uncertainty make him vulnerable, and she's using that to her advantage. This tells us one thing: Gracie isn't going to stop until she gets what she wants. And if Amy doesn't watch carefully, Gracie could succeed in pulling Nathan away piece by piece. Jack's story is the quiet storm in the background. He didn't need big speeches or dramatic gestures in episode 1 to leave an impact. All it took was the look on his face as he watched the ranch burn. You could see years of memories flashing across his eyes. You could feel the weight of a man who has given everything to this land, wondering if he has anything left to give. And then there's his health. The hints are subtle, but they're there. Jack is slowing down. He's breaking down. And whether he admits it or not, he knows it. This fire might have been his wake-up call. The moment he realized that his time as the anchor of Heartland is coming to an end. And that thought alone is enough to shake the entire family, because who are they without Jack? Lou, on the other hand, showed us her strength and her vulnerability all at once. She's trying to manage too much: the ranch, the family, Katie, and now the looming battle with Gracie. Episode 1 showed us that Lou is ready to fight, but it also reminded us that she can't fight alone. And this is where her growth has to come from this season. Lou has always tried to be the problem solver, the one who keeps everyone afloat. But the challenges this season aren't things she can solve with plans or strategies. They're emotional battles, and she'll need to lean on her family in ways she hasn't before. Katie's development, meanwhile, might be one of the most exciting storylines we'll get. Episode 1 made it clear that she's not the little girl in the background anymore. She's becoming someone who matters, someone who takes responsibility, someone who might even be a leader one day. When she chose to stay at the ranch, it wasn't just a decision, it was a declaration. Katie is here to stand with her family, no matter the cost. And that's the kind of moment that shapes characters for seasons to come. Her bond with Lou will grow, but so will her independence. And when Georgie returns, Katie's reaction could very well change how this family functions. Ah yes, Georgie. Her return was teased in this episode in the most perfect way. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy. It was a whisper, a reminder that she's still out there, still connected to this place, still a part of this story. And that whisper is enough to give us hope. Because Heartland isn't just about the people who are here, it's about the ones who come back when they're needed most. Georgie's return is going to bring joy, yes, but also tension. Will she approve of Nathan? Will she question Amy's choices? Will she clash with Gracie? The possibilities are endless. But one thing is certain: when Georgie walks back into that ranch, it's going to feel like coming home for all of us. So, what did episode 1 accomplish? Everything. It gave us danger with the wildfire. It gave us drama with the inheritance. It gave us love with Amy and Nathan. It gave us heartbreak with Jack's struggle. And it gave us hope with Georgie's name being whispered back into the story. That's why this episode feels so unforgettable. It wasn't just a premiere, it was a promise. A promise that season 19 will take everything we love about Heartland, the love, the family, the ranch, the struggles, and turn it up to a level we've never seen before. And now the question isn't whether the family will survive. We know they'll fight. The real question